Give me a little bit of background, guys. So you guys are starting a podcast, inviting logistics and supply chain leaders on, asking some questions. Give me a little background.
Yeah, so I'll just walk you through with it.
Yeah.
Basically, our Bob right here is the CEO of my company.
Okay.
He'll tell you more about what we do in detail, but I'll just tell you what I'm doing here. Basically, what we'll do is we'll invite leaders of the supply chain industry, whether they're in supply chain, freight forwarding, doesn't matter, from across the world. And obviously, I consider you as one of my mentors. So I was like, why not reach out? And thankfully you did. So we will be talking about yourself, about your challenges, the challenges you faced, how you improvise on that. A little bit about AI as well, since everyone's talking about AI, especially in supply chain industry, and then just a little bit about what we're doing as a company, and then just the closing remarks.
Okay. That sounds good. No, I appreciate the invitation. I'm honored that you asked me. Looking forward to digging in.
No, thank you for joining. I mean, it's an honor.
Awesome. Fire away.
Perfect.
Okay. So Sabi is going to start. Okay, Sabi.
Of course. Honestly, let's just start with you about what you've been doing beforehand. I've seen that you have worked with Amazon. You're now working with CHEP. So could you just give a little bit of background and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the supply chain industry now for about a decade, a little over a decade now. It's flown by. So I started my career at Amazon, one of their big 1.1 million square foot fulfillment centers. They were actually launching a new fulfillment center close to where I grew up. So got the job when I was still doing my undergrad. So my senior year was a lot of fun. And then moved home and started working there as an area manager. So I worked in each receive, and then I worked in inventory control and quality assurance on night shift.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, night shift is not that fun, if anybody was wondering. Then I moved over to CHEP, and CHEP is better described as probably the blue pallet company, right? So wherever you guys see blue pallets at your local retailer, that's what we do, right? So we move more goods to more people and more places than any other company in the world. It's been a blast, and I've had the opportunity to be able to move throughout the supply chain. So I came over here, I started in operations, had a big liking towards project management and wanting to do continuous improvement type projects. So pursued a project management certification, got promoted to a project manager, moved over and stood up our operations excellence team, which is now a global team. Then moved over to logistics, and now I am working in commercial sales. So like I said, I've had the opportunity to move around the supply chain, learn a lot about it from different seats, learn how to kind of speak the different languages in those different seats. And that was really kind of what triggered wanting to help mentor the next generation of supply chain folks, and really try to put a spotlight on this amazing field.
Perfect. Quite the journey there. So you have worked with Amazon, and now you're working with CHEP. But the question that I really want to ask is that people now, they know you through SCM Career Hub, as well as your YouTube channel. So what was the main reason that you got into content creation and, teaching people about supply chain, primarily regarding whether it's from YouTube, LinkedIn, or even through your own personal website?
Yeah, Sabi, that's a great question. First of all, I love getting out of my comfort zone. YouTube is so far out of my comfort zone, but it was something that's kind of interested me. It's a way to reach out and build community and connect with folks who are interested. It's been a lot of fun getting that launched. And kind of in my personal time, I also do some nonprofit work, right? So I founded a nonprofit called Go Further Foundation, and that's all about helping mentor folks as they transition from classroom to career. So I've kind of always been doing that, but then I wanted to also do that in the professional world as well, where I work in supply chain. And this is SCM Career Hub is my way to do that. And in my opinion, I think a lot of young professionals and the next generation are kind of confused with what supply chain is. Like COVID helped put it on the map, but it's such a vast industry that I think folks are a little confused, right? So I kind of wanted to kind of paint that picture of what supply chain is. And the real trigger point for me, I was actually up at my alma mater, Kansas State University, talking to a few classes for Go Further Foundation. And I talked to 4 classes, and there's a supply chain program there. And of course, you know, in my introduction, I work in supply chain. Who's studying supply chain? Really excited. And out of 40 people in each class, maybe 2, 3 raised their hand. And I was like, all right, it's time to put supply chain on the map. I need to do something about this. So that was kind of my trigger to like dive into SCM Career Hub.
Oh, no, absolutely. For all of those who are watching us right now, I think the main reason why I chose supply chain is Mark as well. So you honestly, I'm not even joking. I'm not even kidding around. You are the reason why I kind of chose supply chain, why I was inclined towards supply chain, because like a lot of people don't know what goes behind supply chain, you know. Anyway, so you've told us that how you have interacted with different people. You've lived in Kansas City, you grew up in Kansas as well. It's your hometown. You've interacted with people with different backgrounds. What is the biggest misconception that people have regarding supply chain?
Yeah, another great question. And like I said, I think it's just that a lot of people don't know what it is. When you go to school, right? And let's say that you go to school for accounting, you become an accountant, or you go to finance, you become a financial analyst, right? You go to school for supply chain, you could be a demand planner, you could be a logistics coordinator, you can be a transportation coordinator, you can work in operations. So I think people are just confused of where it is that they can land. But I also see that as the competitive advantage of supply chain, because a lot of people, they don't really know what they want to do. They have an idea. Maybe I want to work in operations. And then they get to operations and they're like, wow, logistics is really cool. Let's go try that. A supply chain career offers you that opportunity. They encourage you that opportunity to go and learn the business, right? So I think my career so far has been a testament to that, right? Be in operations. Hey, logistics is super cool. Let's go try that. Hey, I've kind of got a knack for sales. Let's go to commercial sales and try to sell from that side of the business. And having that foundational knowledge of how operations and logistics works, and then going in and working with clients on their own supply chain and be able to speak that language, you just build on your experience. And that's the great thing about supply chain. So I think from a misconception standpoint is just learning all the different opportunities that exist here and embracing constantly learning, right? It's not going to be a job where you just sit behind a desk and every day is the same. And that's the beauty of supply chain.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Okay, let me ask something from.
Yes.
Because he said that we have to like adopt the change. How do you think that this supply chain industry has evolved? You have a lot of experience in the field, so we would like to know that how this new AI and machine learning and they have changed the prospect of this supply chain management.
Yeah. And as you guys know, supply chain runs on data, right? So AI and technology coming on board, being able to ingest that data, being able to give information back to be able to make decisions, that has been extremely powerful. That has come on board. And I think that's one of the biggest skills that we need to learn as supply chain professionals, how to leverage AI. The other thing that's been really great as well is trailer sensors, right? So being able to track your shipments from A to B in real time, being able to get proof of deliveries in real time, being able to measure the temperature of your goods through those sensor technologies, that's all coming on board so quickly. It's extremely powerful. And if you ever step foot into one of these manufacturing or retail facilities, the automation, the equipment, the robotics, Kiva, at Amazon, it is impressive how robotics is coming on board to make us more efficient in the supply chain, which, hopefully can reduce prices for consumers down the road. It can then leverage a different skill set for supply chain, but to make one thing clear here as well. I'm not saying that robotics and AI is taking over the supply chain field. I personally feel that relationships and problem solving and collaboration are at the foundation of supply chain and executing supply chain, right? So I actually think AI is an enabler in supply chain. It's not going to replace folks. I think it's going to enable those relationships, that problem solving, make us faster, better, stronger.
Yeah, it's going to make it more efficient. I would say usually when we pitch to the people the product, they would say that, okay, is it going to take our job or what? I would say that this is not going to steal your job. It's going to make sure that if you were dealing with 50 consignments a day, now you would be able to do 500 of them.
Yes.
Because they're going to be much faster, much efficient.
Yes.
And you said trailer sensors, and we have like that technology is okay. We put the sensors, everything is there. Do you think we can use that data to do something in future as well? What would be that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a key piece of decision making for leaders, right? The more data that you can get, the more leading indicators of a potential issue, a potential opportunity, and having AI as your consultant in that endeavor, I think is going to unlock some really special things, and it's going to get you to where you want to go faster, right? Where before it was ingesting data on an Excel sheet and being able to pivot that out and build your macros and everything like that. We now have a system and technology that can do that. What would take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours for a person, they can do it in minutes, right? So I think that is a very powerful enabler to being able to make decisions.
Yeah.
I just had a quick question. So we're talking about AI and all. So in the supply chain industry, because you've been working with Amazon, you're now working with CHEP in different domains. Is AI actually a threat to people, or is it an opportunity? Because what I've been seeing is that a lot of people say that the supply chain industry will be the last industry to adapt AI. Do you think that's a good thing, or should we adapt AI as fast as other industries are adapting it?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's an enabler. I do think the foundation is relationships. And here's where I stand as well, right? I've worked in logistics. And the thing that you learn when you're in logistics is that every hour something can happen, right? Traffic, a snowstorm, a tornado, a hurricane, especially here in the States, especially here in the Midwest, right? In Kansas City, our weather changes every couple hours, right? So I think it's still important that we're going to have coordinators who can move, who can communicate, who can problem solve. Maybe a driver calls off sick. We don't have these self-driving trucks yet, right? So we still rely on people to be able to go and check in, to be able to load, to be able to get to their next appointment. And then we rely on forklift drivers to be able to load that. And what if they're behind? Now, that truck that just got there is going to be behind, which is going to be a knock-on effect of the other drivers are going to be behind, right? So how do you problem solve through that? And to me, we're not there from an AI perspective of being able to problem solve. It's a little binary. But being able to then take that data and say, hey, we were delayed 2 hours here, which means we were delayed an hour here, which means we were delayed an hour here. Then you can use that data and AI can help you discover the why behind that and help root cause that issue so you get better. So that's where I think AI plays right now. Oops. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. It makes sense. Okay, Sabi, do you have next?
Yeah. So basically, you just told us how important it is that communications, I think, is one of the most crucial element in supply chain. So I've lived in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan as well. It's in Canada for those of you who don't know. It's right next to Calgary. It's actually 8 hours from Calgary. So the thing about living there is that, just like you mentioned, there are snowstorms, blizzards, and all that kind of stuff. how important do you think is communications in an industry like this, where anything can happen in the next minute? For example, we have seen what has happened in the Middle East now. People
Yep.
are talking about that, how that has
Yep.
impacted all the world. So from your experience, because like you're living in the United States, you're living in the best country for supply chain. What do you think is how will this impact supply chain for all the countries around the world?
Communication, to me, we talk about skill building. Communication is in the top three. Problem solving, probably number two. I would interchange being able to problem solve and be able to communicate as number one and number two. And I think internally, communicating across teams, right? Communicating with procurement to make sure that you have the raw materials that you need, communicating with operations to make sure that they're loading the right loads or using those raw materials in the right way to hit their production targets, communicating with the logistics team to make sure that trailers and trucks are moving on time, communicating with sales to make sure you have forecasting correctly, communicating with planning to make sure that forecast is in the system. I mean, you have to communicate across the board and pull the rope in the same direction to be successful. Full stop. And then think about it from a customer perspective as well, right? Let's say, we hit that winter storm and instead of 2 inches of snow, it's 8 inches of snow. That truck is stuck, but that customer is still relying on that load to be able to service their customers. So then we need to communicate with them so they're not left in the dark. So to your point, Sabi, communication is number one. It is what makes the supply chain move. So we need to have that. And you're seeing this, right? The knock-on effects of what's happening in the Middle East and what that's doing to gas prices, what's that doing to oil supplies. When you start digging into this and you start learning those things about supply and demand that you learned when you were in school and start seeing how that actually works in the real world, it's pretty cool. And then people start to realize how big of an impact supply chain has on global economies, right?
Yeah, well, you just summarized how important supply chain is. So I'm going to let my CEO, which is Mr. Erbab, talk a little bit about what we're doing as a company and how they're using AI to help companies leverage their operations and actually, succeed. So Erbab, over to you.
Okay, Mark. So you just talked about this operations and the communication. What I know from my perspective is maybe that most of the communication is going through the email process. Like people are sending emails, getting emails, and everything is on the inbox.
Yep.
The direct communication, direct calls are very, very minimal. So what our product is solving is that 80% of the communication is being on the email. So we are trying to automate this communication process. That's the first thing. Okay, so what we build is an email, a layer on the top of your inbox. So what happens is whenever an email arrives for the sales people, so this email, our bot is going to identify that what type of email is it. Is it asking for the rates? Is it a rate for request email or whatever it is? So if it is a rate for request, it is going to extract all the information from the origin, the dimensions, the weight, gross weight, CBM, and everything, and then it's going to contact all the agents in the origin country. It's going to get all the local charges, rates from that country, and going to compile it, all of it. And within minutes, it gives a whole rate sheet on the dashboard. Okay, what happens is, before this, when I was interviewing and I was going to the freight forwarders and I was visiting their offices, they were doing everything on the Excel sheet. They would send emails to like 5 or 6 people. They would get the rates and they would do their formulas and put everything on the Excel sheet, and then they would prepare this this comparison and present it to their manager. So what I said we can simply do it, and we can automate this process. So the person sitting in front of me, he was like, I saw his mind exploding because he didn't know that this could be done actually. So he had a pricing team of like 4 people, And he said, if we automate, then I would have only one person to deal with it. I said, that's a good thing. Okay, so we started talking. I saw some value in this. I came back, started working on it. I hired my team, and we, a set of developers, we started developing it. Okay, what happens is the person in Pakistan, he gets an email that, okay, on an email, he sends a rate for request, and he wants to move something from USA to Pakistan. Okay, so the time difference, you see. Okay,
Yep.
in the daytime, I get an email. In the nighttime, it's US is open. Okay,
Yep.
the time difference, it makes like 48 hours of the difference. Okay, by the time I get all the rates and compile it and give my margin in it, so
These
it would
days.
be like 24, 48
Yep.
hours is passed already. So the most of the time they lose the client. Most of
Yes.
the time it happens.
Right.
So what we did is we are giving them an automated 24/7 operating for them, a layer that sits on their, that resides on their inbox. Okay, whenever an email arrives, it pushes it to the agents, collects the rates. By the morning he wakes up, he has a sheet in front of him. He can add his margin, and he send it directly to his client. The early they reach to their client and they quote to their client, the more these people, like, I'm not from sales, but I think that increases their chances to win the shipment. Okay, so that's what we did already. What I want from you is your experience is good in the industry. I want your opinion on this product, and I also want you to give us any future insights. Where should we move from here? Because we have automated the process of pricing. That was one of the biggest issue, or the foremost issue when we have any sales approaching to the people in the freight industry. After this, now we're moving towards the operations, that how we are going to move into the operations. We include both by air shipments and by sea. We're not doing trucking for now, but we plan to do that as well. So I need your insight in that, in this product.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. And it goes back to what we were talking about, right? Of making us better, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
That resource is exactly that, right? Because it's taking information that we used to have to manually put into an Excel sheet and calculate the rate sheet. Now it's automatically doing that. And the important piece for that coordinator is then being able to take that price and then have the conversation with the prospective client. All that other action, that could be defined as waste, right? The customer doesn't want to pay for you going through and putting an Excel sheet together. So is this an RPA robot that you got?
No, it's not it's a SaaS product, software as
Okay.
a service product. Okay, so we give them web access, web page access, and we give access to the freight forwarders, and it automates the process of the pricing process.
Got it.
So the one thing that I want to tell you that after my first interview, after 2 months, I came to the pricing team. I showed them, okay, this is how you collect the pricing, but now we have this system automated for you. This guy, the pricing guy, I saw his mind exploding when he saw that, okay, in 20 minutes, everything is calculated by the formulas and everything is automated already.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's powerful, right? Because how long did that take him before? Hours?
Of course, at least 30 to 45 minutes just to float the inquiry, right?
Yeah.
Just to collect all the information and send it to the agents, then collecting them and calling them, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and I think you're going to uncover a lot of different opportunities where that then applies, right? If you've got 1,000 loads to book and you have, your lane sheet, right? Maybe it just auto books for you instead of having to go in and then tender it to the carrier and do all of the work that goes into that. Or if you're in operations, right? Maybe it can be used for preventative maintenance. Hey, the last time that we did preventative maintenance on this piece of automation equipment was a week ago. Maybe we need to do this faster, or maybe you can ingest, information on how equipment is performing, and you can kind of use that, as a leading indicator to say, hey, maintenance team needs to go look at this. I mean, there's so many applications to be able to take what a human's eyes need to see currently, or human hands need to type in to figure out currently, that an AI can feed that to you. So then you can go and take action. on it, right? And that's exactly what this is, right? It's giving you that information, giving you that proposal, that quote, so you can then go take action on it, because that's what's important. That's what's important to the customer.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Sabi, do you have any other?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you told us everything there is to know about supply chain and freight forwarding as well as AI. Let's move a little bit towards the closing remarks. I would ask you if there's one special piece of advice that you would like to give to the future generation or anyone who's looking to get into supply chain. What would you suggest?
That's a good question. That is a really good question. I would say for the next generation to enjoy the journey through supply chain. I think for me, early in my career, I want, you go to college and, you're told to get a job. And this is kind of going to my work at Go Further Foundation. Once you get that job, nobody really tells you what to do for the next 40, 45 years of your life, right? And I think there's an expectation that we're supposed to have it figured out. And figuring it out is a lifelong endeavor. And when you get into supply chain, you don't have to be CEO on day one. You don't have to be VP on day two or whatever it is, right? Go in and learn. And that's what I love about supply chain, is that there is always an opportunity to learn. There's an opportunity to work with different teams. Like I said, operations, logistics, planning, transport, sales, we all speak different languages. Go and learn those languages and enjoy that journey, right? Of working through your career, finding where the problems are, solving the problems. If solving problems is something that you like to be able to do, if working on projects is something that you like to do, continuous improvement, then there is a spot in supply chain for you. So I would say embrace the journey throughout your supply chain career. That's what I would say.
That's very good. Thank you.
Awesome. I think that we're almost done with the podcast. Let's just end it. Before I go, I wanted to ask you, Mark, if there's anyone because obviously you coach people as well. Where can people find you if they want coaching, one-on-one talking with you regarding supply chain or anything regarding supply chain?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. Mark-Potts 23 on LinkedIn. My YouTube, Supply Chain Potts. SEMcareerhub.com. I'm really trying to build that out to be a one-stop shop for folks who are interested in learning about supply chain, getting into supply chain, breaking into supply chain from a different industry. I haven't found that exists anywhere, right? And I think it's important to build that community of folks who are passionate about supply chain and want to get into supply chain. So that's SEMcareerhub.com. So that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys. Great meeting you. Great seeing you. Best of luck.
Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, see you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.